Hey y'all, it's Jasmine, otherwise known as Jasmonique, and welcome back for another video. If you're new here, welcome. I hope that you'll stay, and I really hope that you'll enjoy the content. If you're a returner, I'm not even going to apologize to y'all about being gone so long on this one, because I'm going to keep it 100 with y'all. That is something I said I was going to do when I started this channel, is that I was going to keep it 100. I was going to be transparent about my journey, because this is the information that people like me need to know. I was going to quit, y'all. Y'all can see by the title of the video, I was ready to quit. I was ready to hang it up, quit. I was ready to be done, honestly. And I think it was a good thing in the long run. I think that it was another challenge that I needed to overcome, and that I also need to get used to. But we'll get to all of that. I'm moving way too fast. I'm getting way ahead of myself. But first, let me talk to the new people. Let me swing back to y'all before I go back to the returners. Again, if you're new here, thank you for coming. My name is Jasmine, and I am currently a neonatal bedside nurse. I work in the NICU, and I am also in school for my neonatal nurse practitioner degree. Well, I mean, the degree is technically a master's of science in nursing, but my specialty will be as a neonatal nurse practitioner after I pass my boards. So hopefully you're here either because you like NICU, you're interested in NICU, or you just wanted to see my face and support me. Regardless of the reason, thank you for coming. So today's videos, I'm sort of going to give you guys a recap of what happened last semester, and within that, I will give the story as to why I almost decided to walk away from my future career. So stay tuned. So how I'm going to start is I'm going to give you guys like a brief overview of the semester in terms of like content, and then I'll get into the details of why I almost quit. So really quick, last semester, fall semester, I took two classes. Jeez, wow, we can't talk. 2 classes. The first one was clinical, and the second one was developmental care. Developmental care was a pretty easy class. There's not really much to say about that. It was about developmental care of neonates, so talking about growth, maintaining sleep, comfort positioning, not developmental care because that's the name of the class, like family-centered care, just different things that we can do to support our patients' development and their developmental milestones while they are hospitalized. So that was that class. My clinical class was made up of 2 parts. The first part was lecture, and that just basically was where all of my assignments went, like when I turned in my homework and different assignments like that. And then about once or twice a month, we would meet on Zoom, in class with our classmates as well as our professor. We would talk as a big group, and we usually also have some type of clinical activity in which we would talk to our clinical faculty, which is one of my 3 professors that are overseeing the program. We would talk to our clinical faculty about how clinical is going. That would be the time to reach out if you need any resources. You can obviously reach out any other time, but just specifically that's class time for it. And then also during class, we would usually do some sort of prep work for close to or after graduation. So if we weren't doing classwork, we would do like case studies to, just sort of help us continue to start to think of rationale and plans for patients that we may be managing. Or we've had like someone come in from the career center and talk to us about like post-graduation life, like what that process looks like in terms of credentialing, getting your license, all of those things, which I'll do a video on that when I'm going through that, y'all, because I don't really have much information to give you because I don't know what I'm doing yet. So going back to class. So for clinical, I had to get 262.5 hours before the end of the semester, and obviously I did because I have moved on to the next semester. I am still in school, guys. This is not a goodbye, I'm quitting my career video. But by the way, I realized I probably didn't preface this with that. But so I have my clinical at a level 3 NICU, which basically means that they take deliveries as well as they can take more critical patients. Really, it seems like the only difference I'm noticing so far between level 3 and level 4, for example, I work at a level 4 and I did clinicals at a level 3. At level 4, they can take cardiac and surgical patients, and sometimes they can take ECMO patients too. That's usually what makes the distinction, is just that level of complexity of care in which they're able to offer at that center. Like some level 4s will offer cooling, where some level 3s won't. So, just depending on like the resources available at the institution will sometimes make that differentiation. So being there was an experience. I would get there at 5 in the morning, and I would get there. We would first go to the meeting where the OB residents would sort of talk about what moms were in labor, who was laboring, who's planning on delivering today, anybody we need to keep an eye out for, and if there were any babies that might possibly need to come over to the NICU or were high-risk deliveries, they would let us know that in that meeting. And then the rest of it would be sort of them signing off to the morning team for OB on how to do that. So we'd go to that meeting, and just keeping in mind any deliveries in the back of our head that we may need to attend. And then I'd go and I would gather all of my patients, gather all the information on my patients. So that's when I go look through their charts. I see how their night went. I look at their course. I see things that may need to be changed. I look at the plan from the previous days, just in case, there's a certain provider that wants them to do something in steps. So always look at your previous plan. I look at my plans. I assess my patients. I go and physically put hands on my babies. I like to actually look and touch my babies before I tell people about them. That might be because I'm new. That might just be a me thing. Either way, I like to put hands on my babies. So I go and assess my patients, and then I come back, and then we start with rounds. And, during rounds, I present on all of my patients. I give them my plan. We talk about it as a team, and we decide the plan of care for the day. And then usually the rest of the day is pretty much spent doing anything that needs to be done. So everywhere I've had clinical sort of shows me that they have like a to-do list, and on the to-do list would be things such as procedures. So like if a baby needs a PICC line put in, if a baby needs a PICC line taken out, if a baby needs lines put in, like umbilical lines, if a baby needs umbilical lines taken out, if somebody's getting extubated, any type of procedure that's non-emergent would sort of go on that to-do list, and that would be something that we would do this afternoon. So for example, I have on my scrubs, I went to clinical today. We did rounds, we went to lunch. When we came back from lunch, I took out a PICC line. Another one of the practitioners put a PICC line in. So that's usually how the day goes until about 3-4 o'clock. That's usually when we do sign out with the doctors, and that's when we go and brief the doctor that's coming on for the night on all of the patients. And then around 5-6 o'clock, just depending on where I was at and when my shift went in. So last semester it was like 5:30-ish. The nurse practitioner who was staying on that night would come on, excuse me, and we would give them a report. So that's sort of how the day would go in terms of flow. Like I said, I learned a lot there. I learned a lot about managing different patients. My first semester, I was at another level 3 NICU, but there just weren't as many critical kids there for me to try to manage. And they have residents and fellows, so they had a lot of people who technically were able to get their hands on the baby before I was, in terms of order of ranking, I guess, in terms of who gets first dibs on a patient. So I definitely learned a lot. I will say, I'd say socially and professionally, it was a different experience. Socially, no comment. I'm just going to say that everybody's personality does not mesh, and that's okay. You have to know what type of environment you can work in. I will say that is the lesson that I learned from that experience, is understanding the type of environment I desire to work in, as well as the type of environment I think I would thrive in. And that's something that I am going to keep in the back of my mind, as well as investigate when it comes to looking at jobs in the future. Professionally wise, I had an experience that is not unfamiliar. It's unfamiliar for me in this program, but I had a similar experience in nursing school, in undergraduate nursing school, pretty close to graduation, where I had somebody who was in an authority position tell me that they did not feel that I was prepared to move on to what was coming next. And both times it seems to be rooted in them perceiving me as not being engaged. So I can tell y'all, when I am in clinical, there are moments where I'm talkative, but majority of the time I am very silent because I take a lot of time to think. I take time to process things. And one, that's part of me being in my own head and wanting to make sure that I get the right answer. But two, I understand that the career path that I have chosen is very intensive. It's a neonatal intensive care unit. So I will be offering intensive care to people's very, very sick children. That is something that I think about the gravity of every time that I walk through a set of hospital doors. Like, let me assure you all. So for me, it is alarming when my engagement is questioned. Now, in thinking about how the rest of the semester went, as well as reflecting on the experience, even now, I think what it boiled down to is that instead of working with one preceptor, last semester I worked with a team of preceptors. So pretty much whenever there was somebody there at the hospital available for me to get my hours, I went. So sometimes I'd work with this person on Monday, and then a different person on Tuesday, another person on Wednesday, the same person from Monday on Thursday, you know what I'm saying? So one, I think that continuity of forming that student-preceptor relationship definitely took a toll on the way in which I was perceived. Because, for example, I probably talk even less now in my clinical than I did last semester. However, I've been with the same preceptor the entire time, and she also knows me. And now, learning from last semester, I took the time to tell her, if there's ever a time when you ask me a question, or we're talking about something, or we're discussing something and a teaching moment is going on, and you look at me and it seems like I'm not engaged, I promise you, I'm here, the lights are on, the wheels in my head are just turning. The wheels in my head are just turning. I understand that in the career field that I'm entering, one, it is very dynamic. Things are always changing. Two, there are a lot of things that are backed by evidence, and there are a lot of things that are not. Three, I don't have as much experience as a lot of other people who are entering this field. That is something that I understand fully. And while I don't think it's a disadvantage for me, I do think it is a challenge for me, a personal challenge. I understand that that means that I may have to work twice as hard as some of my colleagues simply because they have the knowledge base from being a nurse, a bedside nurse, much longer than I have. And that's okay. That is a challenge which I have been willing to undertake and will continue to undertake for as long as I am in this career. And I've made my peace with that. I don't think everyone else has, because I've gotten pushback from preceptors. I've even gotten pushback from some of you all that comment on my videos about the fact that I decided to take it upon myself that at the earliest opportunity I wanted to pursue advanced practice. That is a decision that I don't regret, and I don't think I ever will. Yeah, I just don't. So thinking about last semester and reflecting on that experience, I can't change it. All I can do is learn from it. Going into this semester, I told my preceptor, hey, these are things that help me remember things. This is how I learn. This is not how I learn. These things work for me. These things don't. And her and I sort of had that conversation and laid that groundwork at the beginning of this semester. So then that way we wouldn't get to the middle or the end of the semester and there's confusion, or she thinks that because I don't talk 24/7, I'm not listening, or I'm not engaged, or I'm not here with everybody else when it comes to patient care. So that was that, talking about the experience. And honestly, it took a long time for me to get here, guys, to the point where I could talk about this, because my husband knows the first couple days after everything happened, I came home and like sobbed, bawled. He doesn't know it, but I started to look up and come up with game plans on what I would do if I didn't become a nurse practitioner and I didn't want to do this anymore, just because my confidence was so shaken, guys. My confidence was really, really shaken. I understand that there's a lot that I don't know. So I think knowing that you don't know anything and then having someone who is charged with teaching you then tell you that they basically don't think that you can do it is really, really disheartening. even now, like, I still haven't completely gotten out of my own head about it. I feel like even going into this semester, I've been very, very worried. Just I think it was really a confidence killer for the most part. I've not felt completely confident in my decision making up until this point, just because I understand that I'm still learning. I'm still a student. There are still things that I don't know and things that I need to learn. But I think I had a lot more confidence in my judgment as well as my intuition as a nurse. And I think that that situation definitely called a lot of that into question. But we're working on it. I'm still in school. As you guys can see, I told you I didn't quit. Thought about it very seriously, but did not quit. So I also wanted to make this video just to continue to encourage all of you that are watching my videos and want to become a NICU nurse, or in the process of becoming a NICU nurse, or becoming a neonatal nurse practitioner. Either way, I just want you to know that I am rooting for you. We don't know each other. We can be internet BFFs. I am rooting for you. Even in the moments where you feel like you don't have it, you got this. Because if you didn't have it, would you be where you are now? No. Okay, then. So that's your pep talk from me, because that's what I needed someone to say to me when I was having this moment. But I feel like I've been talking for way too long, and I don't want to overwhelm you guys. But thank you so much for logging in and watching my video. I hope that all of you are doing well, everybody's staying safe, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you guys have any other ideas for videos, or if you just want to shout out, say hey, ask me a question, make sure to follow me on social media. Feel free to message me. I try to reach back out to people pretty quickly. So yeah, and I hope you guys enjoy.